doing today? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And today we have an overdose. We are about to OD. We're about to OD on intelligent Black people. So if you want to overdose on Black intelligence, say something in the chat. As you guys come in, let me go ahead and let you all know what this panel is. We are doing a follow up to a really great conversation we had at the All Black National Convention. At the convention, we had an awesome panel called Mind, Body, and Soul, where we talked about health in general, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and every other kind of health that there is. And we had some great experts, and we decided at that time that we wanted to continue this conversation online. So without further ado, let me mention the names of all the guests that we have. And throughout the conversation, I will mention their accolades and why they are just some badass Black people. They some BAPs, some badass Black people. And not you, Nathaniel. You ain't no BAP. But you're a great man. You're a great Black man. Everybody remembers that movie BAPs from the 90s with Halle Berry. And so let me just go ahead and start from the beginning. So first we have Dr. Charm Timms. She's the author of the book, The Quarantine Kitchen. Just a real sharp sister. How you doing today, Dr. Charm?
I'm excellent.
All right. Next, ladies first, we have Dr. Latanya Watkins, who is a pathologist. She's also happens to be my sister, but that's not her claim to fame. She is a brilliant Black woman, and her platform is it the Wealthy Happy Soul? Is that what it says, Tangi?
Yes.
All right. So Dr. Latanya Watkins, everybody give her a big B1 in the chat. Say hi to Dr. Tangi. Also, the third beautiful Black woman we have on the platform today is my lovely, wonderful wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. Her platform is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's a licensed therapist and full professor of social work. How you doing today, babe?
Great. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
All right. Give her a B1. And last, certainly not least, we have the one and only Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan, who is you have seen him on the Black Boss channel. We are doing a B1 immunity event with Nathaniel Jordan on January 8th. He is a consistent truth teller on all things related to Black health. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. So everybody greet all of our guests as we get started. So let's just jump right in then. To go in the same order that we went before, I'm gonna go to you, Dr. Charm. When you think about Black health, when I say mind, body, and soul, healthy mind, body, and soul, what's the first thing that kind of comes to mind to you when you think about Black people and why we want to be healthier in every way imaginable?
The first thought that came to me when you said it was just the word centered. And it's like we have to be centered, and the physical is one way to be centered, but also mental and spiritual. So it's all, it has to all be together. We are divine human beings living through a human experience. We're spiritual beings living through a human experience. And so that's one thing. And so you have to have all of it. As you all know, with this Rittenhouse verdict and things like that, we are in the midst of a race war. And so we have to be in tip-top shape, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have to be in fighting shape. And that's why everything that we talked about at the conference, for those of you all who missed it, you'll get a little taste today. But it's really important that we really hold those truths to be evident.
Okay. So Dr. Tangi, I'd be curious to ask you now. And a lot of times, there's a lot of crazy energy in the air. You got, the Rittenhouse stuff that everybody was talking about online. You have Ahmaud Arbery stuff going on. You kind of have this consistent flow of just crazy incidents. Rappers getting shot every week. Just a lot of stuff that almost feels like a lot of negative energy in the air. And I know you're real big on kind of dealing with that and kind of creating safe spaces psychologically so that those things don't overwhelm you. And I mean, my God, as a pathologist, you're around dead people all day. That's got to require some constant maintenance of mental health. Can you speak to that in terms of the environment that we're in and how we might want to be conscious about the environment in terms of what we're taking in on the spiritual and psychological level?
Yes. The world is chaotic, right? By design, right? Even if you look down at the atomic level, like it's just chaos all the time, right? And so that kind of expands out into our reality, specifically what's going on these days with the different verdicts and things like that. When we're talking about mind, body, and health, they're all related, and so like when we talk about health, a lot of times we're like, well, we're focused on the body, but a lot of the times we're not able to fully do that because of what's going on in our mind and what's going on in our soul, spirit, energetic field, things of that nature. So it really is like a very holistic, you have to approach it from a holistic way if you're going to be successful.
Okay. And so, and just so you know, Nathaniel, I hope I assume you agree with me that it's ladies first. So that's why I'm going to the ladies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah. So Dr. Alicia, let me ask you that you are big on the subconscious mind. And I know, and believe me, every day we're talking, we do our pillow talks and stuff like that. You have a lot to say about the subconscious. I see you in the house listening to trainings on the subconscious mind. What do you think that Black people need to know about the subconscious mind in terms of how we process everything that's being, shown to us? Like, for example, I think I remember one time you mentioning that whenever there's a police shooting and so, or no, you're talking about Boys in the Hood. Anybody remember Boys in the Hood when Ricky died? How many of y'all got sad when Ricky died? And y'all like, oh man, Ricky's about to go to college. He's about to go to college, right? Well, it's like you said. I remember you said that when Ricky died, like all of us died, like a piece of all of us died when Ricky died, and that I'd never really heard it described that way. Can you kind of dig into that a little bit deeper so we can kind of understand where you're coming from with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the mind doesn't understand pretend. So when you watch something on television and you see this Black man trying to get out of the hood, and it wasn't just Boys in the Hood, it was a whole string of movies at that time. And I may have been 18 years old. I may have been in my late teens when those movies came out, where all those Black people died very tragically. It had a cycle. I just remember the feeling I had in the movie theater. And I remember like walking out of the movie theater feeling like somebody I love died. I remember just having that sort of heavy weight on my mind. And it was almost as if it really happened. I watch movies and sometimes I get my tissue out and I start crying. Why? Because I'm in there and I know that it's pretend, but subconsciously, you don't understand what pretend means. It's all real to you. And so it's this suspension of belief that happens when we go to the movie theater. It's not even just the movie theaters. A lot of times it's all media. Oh, look at Ricky.
Yeah,
oh, what tragic.
He stuck his head out the window with the gun, and we're like, "No, Ricky!
Oh my God, Ricky, no! It's really awful." And like the looks on everyone's faces in the movie theater, I'll never ever forget it, and it has an impact on us now. And those stereotypes and all the different images, all of media that we see has an impact on your psychological health. And I think that a lot of times we need to shut it down. So Boyce, every once in a while, I'm like, let's take a moratorium on social media and put our phones down and let's just meditate and let's focus on ourselves. I go on my retreats. Dr. Tangi and myself, we're doing a retreat coming up in December where we are just getting rid of the phones. We're going deep within and we're doing work on ourselves. We're programming ourselves. We're going to decide what we want in our life, and we're going to suspend what media tells us that should be for ourselves, and we're going to decide what we're going to be. We got goals and things that we want to do with our life, and we can't be bogged down with what's happening in the media and being distracted by all these things we can't change. It's this powerlessness in it. We can't change what's going on, but I can change what happens in my household and how I interact with my husband and how I interact with my children and how I interact. Thanksgiving's coming around, how I interact with all of the people I love who I'm spending Thanksgiving with. That I have control over. And so that's my intention. I can't change what's happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I've never even been to Kenosha, Wisconsin. I don't even know those people. I feel sorry for people who are hurt. I don't want to ever see that, but I can't change my Facebook message post to sad because somebody in Arizona gets hurt. I don't know those people. I'm not going to let it control my emotions. And I think that's the biggest thing is Black people, we get so emotionally pulled in all these different directions and we get exhausted by that. So we need to be able to shut down to deal with some of the stress and the stressor.
It's so repetitive too. It's like if you are in a fight and somebody beats your butt after school. You so embarrassed. You're not gonna go back. You're not gonna go back and be like, "Can we repeat that fight again in the same way? Can you beat my butt again?" But it's kind of like, with the events that are happening in the world, yes, we need to be aware. Yes, we need to be compassionate. Yes, if we are in a position to be able to assist, we should be able to assist. But like, otherwise, if you aren't in a position to do anything and you're now aware of what the problem is, why do you keep inflicting that trauma on yourself over and over and over again?
So let's first of all, let me let everybody know we have our Black Health panel here. Everybody here was at the All Black National Convention, and we wanted to continue the discussion about Black health, mind, body, and soul. All the things we have to be aware of and all the ways we can improve. Do us a favor. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. If you believe in Black intelligence and you want to see our people grow, just say something in the chat. Type the word intelligent in the chat, because these are intelligent Black people and we want to honor that. And so I know that if they were, if they were rappers, maybe people might listen a little bit more. But I personally think we need to listen to the scholars as much as we listen to the rappers, maybe even more. So Nathaniel Jordan, let me ask you this. So you have talked a lot about a lot of the subtle ways that others are killing Black people, mainly through food. You've talked about toxins in food that we don't even know about. You're talking about things we eat on a daily basis that could cause, unbelievable amounts of harm. And I don't doubt any of it. I don't doubt any of it because because if you look at changes that have occurred in society, for example, when they talk about why all these kids suddenly getting autism, or why does everybody in that neighborhood get cancer, things like that, or why is there so much more cancer than there is before? Why are so many kids today have diabetes? Like diabetes used to be rare with children, from what I understand, like 50, 60 years ago, but now it's kind of everywhere. Talk about some of that in terms of some of the sinister ways that they might hit the body with foods that don't just affect the body, but might affect the mind and the spirit as well. I'd like to get your take on that.
Yeah, I have an entire lecture called Genocide by Diet, how junk food has created an epidemic of mental illness and violence in the Black community. The brain is the most sensitive organ in the body. And just as much as eating a cheeseburger can cause heart disease, it can also impede nutrient and hormonal flow to the brain, which can lead to mental illness, which can lead to violence, depression, anxiety, and all of these things are epidemic in our communities. The late, great Dr. Layla Africa, he had been talking about these things since the 70s and 80s. And he literally stressed himself out to death because he was trying so hard to convince our people that there is no such thing as Black health without addressing the nutricide. It's interesting you brought that's the first thing that came up, Doc, when I was on the Roland Martin show, because I was on his show several times. But what's interesting is for whatever reason, I think the lecture I did from 2018 that he had live streamed, I think is being shadow banned because at one point it has exploded. It went viral. I did a full lecture with Rock Newman at Howard University in 2018 called Genocide by Diet. And it was based off of some very powerful concrete science showing that you can go into prison and you can take violent criminals and you can change the way they eat. You can remove the sugar and give them nutrients for the brain, and you can watch their behavior improve. As a matter of fact, it's known that if you want to reduce recidivism, not only do you teach ex-cons life skills, but you have to include nutrition. So it's just absolutely no way that as a people we can even think about progression when we have a system, when all they have to do is destroy their health, destroy our health. And that's what they've done here. They create an eating style that's so addicting that it creates the obesity and the sickness. And then here we have these viruses that attacks us with weakened immune systems. So yeah, without that health as a foundation in the mental health, it's just it's a pipe dream that we'll see any sustainable improvements. We're just too sick as a people.
So Dr. Charm Timms, one of the things I find that's really interesting to me, especially during this pandemic, was how it's like, it seems to me that I almost see no efforts whatsoever to improve people's immune systems. I see no efforts to make people healthier. and then suddenly this virus emerges that attacks people's immune systems, right? And there is no long-term plan to say, okay, here's how we can make sure your immune systems are healthier. The only answer is, okay, well, Big Pharma has an instant solution you can just inject in your body that's going to make it all go away. Now, this is not a conversation about the jab or no jab. I think that's a personal choice. But to me, it's very fascinating that you cannot rely. It seems to me that you can't rely on these systems out here, educational systems, media systems, certainly not capitalism, to put our people naturally on a pathway toward physical and mental health. It almost seems like you literally got to, it's like if you're on a freeway, the freeway of life, you got to exit the freeway and go to a side street to get what you need in order to really be healthy. Is that your experience? And what are some of your thoughts on what I just said? Oh, Dr. Charm is muted.
Ooh, I made the fatal error of mutation. Okay, so I'm back. So really, with everything that has gone on with, as Vicky calls it, the vacation, you can't make any money if it's not a patented remedy. And so anything that's preventative, it doesn't make the money that something that you can patent and have ownership as far as Big Pharma is concerned. However, I would have to say that people who are in the know because, baby, at the height of the lockdown, I couldn't find vitamin C. I had to go to Walmart and find some vitamin C, and I don't buy my vitamins at Walmart. I'm telling you, everybody was cleaned out. So people who were in the know, they were cleaning out all the immune support. And here's the thing, even if you do get the vacation and the jab and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't prevent you from catching the illness. And so that's where you still want to have your immune support and those kind of things, the vitamin C's, the vitamin D's, juicing and having, fresh fruits and vegetables and those kind of things. So you still need to have an immune system. And so I think that I'm really heartened by the fact that so many Black American people are becoming plant-based. Like, we're the fastest growing group of all ethnicities that are going plant-based is Black American people. So like I said before, people who are in the know, they know.
All right. Okay. So let's move on to Dr. Latanya then. You Dr. Tangi, are really good with areas that relate to mental health. Now, I can say as her brother, first of all, my sister's super smart. She memorizes everything, and I remember I watched her go through medical school, which I can only imagine was a real heavy burden on your mental health. And then I saw you you went into pathology, which I never understood that. For her to be my sister, I never sat around and asked, like, so what made you want to cut open the dead people? That's gotta be depressing. But one thing I've noticed is that you're really big on mental health and dealing with things like burnout, dealing with things like just, finding your peace and finding your bliss. And you alluded to it a little bit earlier about how there's so much negativity kind of rained on us. And in fact, Dr. Alicia, I'm gonna get to you and ask you about social media in particular. But what do you think are some things that people might be missing in terms of how to really maintain normalcy in the midst of chaos, Dr. Tangi?
I would say the most important thing is even self-talk. Dr. Charm just mentioned that African Americans are the biggest population in transitioning over to plant-based. I am one of them. And the thing is, like, a lot of times, like I said earlier, we want to focus on our health, and we think like, okay, I've just decided to focus on our health, but you don't really realize like how much mental conditioning that you've had, like from the time you were born to the time you are now, that makes you you. That's why when people are like, that's just me, I eat meat, that's just what I do, that's just me, or I'm just angry, that's just me, or I don't know, I'm just a homebody, that's just me. Those things are, for the most part, mental conditioning, and we don't really stop to think about like, what is just me and why. The talk that goes through our head, like, oh, I need meat, or there's no way I could ever give up my Mountain Dew, or whatever it is. Like, we never really stop to examine, like, are those things even true? Like, where did they originate from? Like, what if they weren't true? Are you willing to allow just the possibility that whatever you're telling yourself just might not be the truth? And if it weren't the truth, like, how would you act? Like, how would you show up in life if that were the case? So yeah, I really am big on self-talk, examining like your self-talk, examining everything in the world around you to really like seek out like the truth, because I feel like that is what we're here for. We're here to evolve. We're here to go from one state of ourselves to the other state of ourselves, from glory to glory, so to speak. And that doesn't just sound nice. It's an actual process that requires like systematic work, so to speak.
So, and by the way, everybody, I'm speaking with a panel of awesome Black experts. These are your Dr. Fauci's out here. These are the people that, in my view, these are the ones I listen to and go to when I want to really understand what's going on out here. And I have, and I'll name everybody real quick, and then I would like to ask a question of you, Dr. Alicia. Dr. Alicia Watkins, my lovely wife, Dr. Charm Timms, author of the book The Quarantine Kitchen, the Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan. You can follow him at the Minister of Wellness, and we're doing a January 8th event called B1 Immunity that I'll tell you guys about very soon. Also Dr. Latanya Watkins, my awesome sister, who I am blessed to have in my life, and I love you, Tangi. I love you, girl. I love you. All right. So let me ask you this, Dr. Alicia. You've talked a lot about social media, and I've seen studies that are actually coming out now that Facebook has kind of been hit really hard with these these document leaks, and I'm sure lots of lawsuits and things like that about the effects of social media on the mind. Instagram being studied for the effects it's having on the body image issues of teenage girls. I even saw something today where they said Facebook is being inquired about whether or not they're treating Black people differently. Right. And so you see people on social media just doing all kinds of interesting things. For some people, there's a lot of upside. For some people, it's a lot of chaos, a lot of weird challenges like that crazy challenge where everybody was standing on the milk crates. Anybody remember the milk crate challenge? And how that I would watch it and I would swear, and like I'm watching the video, I'm like, okay, he's really going to break his neck. Like he's really going to be dead in the hospital in a minute. Can you talk about that, Dr. Alicia, in terms of the effects social media has on our brains, as well as you mentioned earlier things like retreats and detoxes, particularly from social media and stuff like that. Can you kind of speak to that and why we might want to consider adding that to our lives?
Well, I mean, with 2 teenagers in the house, we technically have 3 teenagers. With all the teenagers in the house, I am constantly worried about all of their social media use and the fact that it seems like they're on their phones all the time and so connected to things that we don't even know that's real, that they don't look up. And that's all of us in the house. Like we're all constantly on our phones. And I'm always worried about how it's taken away from real connections among each other, and that getting validation from people who are live, people who are actually who we love and we care about, seems to be so much more important than what you see in social media. And a lot of those things, there's filters on there. There's you can technology where you can edit your body to look a certain way, and so we don't even know if those people really look like that in person. And you're looking at yourself and seeing how you measure up. And so I think that a lot of times, especially teenagers and adults, but particularly teenagers with impressionable minds, I can't even imagine how they feel like they're missing out on all these things. I work with a lot of teenagers in my practice, and they're always saying, wow, I don't get invited to so many things. I'm on social media and I see my friends or people who I like, they're all getting together and having a good time and posting it on social media, and I wasn't invited. So what's wrong with me? I'm just sitting at home and I don't have enough friends, and I'm scared to interact with people, and I don't have the social skills to do that. We've been in this pandemic for such a long time that people are just anxious and too nervous to have direct communication with people. I think that is something that we got to pay attention to and look at. And I love what Dr. Tangi said earlier. I just want to switch there about how you talked about what's going on in your head, the talk that's going on in your head. What are you telling yourself? That is like the key thing. How do you, who told you that, and whose voice is it? I do that with clients all the time. That's cognitive behavioral approach to anxiety and depression because someone told you something and they lied to you. That's what I usually say. That's not a healthy voice. And so a lot of times you need to question, where do these thoughts come from and how can I substitute this with a healthy voice, my voice, which is healthy. Your voice is healthy. The voices that are telling you or what you hear, the thoughts that are coming in your head that's negative, those aren't your thoughts. Someone told you that, someone told you that. And so how do you have that self-talk in your head, that inner dialogue to help change some of this around? And so shutting down social media helps you to analyze your own thoughts, and you can just shut out all the noise and you can center yourself so that you can connect with who you are and the people around you and try to galvanize people around you who are positive, who's encouraging to you and who genuinely want you to do well. That's what's very important.
Okay, so Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Wellness. I want to go to you on the next question because you have I figured out, brother. I figured out why they're afraid of you, and I'm gonna show you because he uses the appropriate terms to describe what's going on. He uses words like genocide, and he even uses words like satanic. The satanic American diet has created an epidemic of mental illness and violence. And when I saw that, Rock Newman recommended that you and I become friends, and I'm really glad he did that. Shout out to Rock Newman, who is one of the great Black men of our country and of our world. And I can tell you, you've gotten results for lots of people. Lots of people love you. Those that know about you, they really pay attention to what you have to say. Do you think when you reflect on words like genocide, can you go deeper into that? If someone said, okay, so you use the word genocide, which almost sounds like a deliberate extermination of a group of people, right? Yes. That's pretty heavy, right? That's pretty heavy. That, and that leads to a debate. Like, okay, is somebody deliberately seeking to exterminate us, or are they simply trying to make money by offering us what we think that we want? Talk about that word genocide. And go deeper into that with us so we can kind of understand where you're coming from on this.
Yes, sir. It's deliberate. It's a deliberate effort to destroy our people. And that's what genocide means. It's an intentional effort to destroy people, to exterminate people. And Big Pharma does that for profit. That's who they are. That's what they do. They steal, kill, and destroy. That's why I call it the satanic American diet and the satanic American way of living. The word pharmacy actually has roots, biblical roots that date back thousands of years ago. It's the same word. It's actually called sorcery in scriptures. Whenever you manipulate the medicines that the Most High created from the earth and you turn it into something unlike itself, and then what it becomes, it actually kills and destroys people. That's called sorcery. So yes, it is genocide. There's a scientist right now, and this is very, very easily researched through Google. It's just that they know that most of us, we're too busy watching football and basketball and boxing to really do the research we're supposed to. And by the way, sometimes I fall into the boxing trap. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but we need to do the research. There is a doctor. He was a lead scientist in the CDC. His name is Dr. William Thompson. And Dr. William Thompson, they were just deliberately eradicating any shred of scientific evidence that was linking, I call it the medical decision. They was linking, I'm hearing terms like the vacations and so forth. I like that one. I'd say medical decision, so everybody know what I'm talking about. And he was saying that the medical decision, that they were purposely erasing any link between the medical decision and autism, and that the reason why they were so quick to do that was because it was showing an extraordinarily higher rate of connection between this certain type of medical decision and autism in Black boys. And he knew that, and his conscience was so guilty that he phoned a friend of his, a fellow scientist, and the scientist friend who had an autistic child himself, his scientist friend recorded hours and hours of the conversation, and they end up making an entire documentary about the fact that this is intentional. They know this is intentional. And I've read several books about how they will just flat out lie. They will flat out bury all evidence showing that they are destroying melanated people. Even this year, they finally threw the Bill Gates Foundation out of India because of the damage that his medical decisions was wreaking over there in India. So it's it is very clear when you look at the epidemic of AIDS in Africa, when you look at the fact that polio has never been eradicated, they just changed the definition. When you look at the fact that there are certain medical decisions that aren't allowed here, but they'll take those medical decisions because they're so tainted and toxic, and they'll give it to melanated third world nations. When you look at the long bloody history, when you look at the words of Gates himself, who stated as clear as day that his goal, that if we do this correctly, we'll reduce the population by 15%. He's a known advocate. I mean, eugenics is known. That's a science. That's a European science that's been around for hundreds of years, and it's never changed. It might have changed names, but the science of eugenics and the eradication of our people, that's just something. It's just too documented in books and documentaries and by their own people for anybody to dispute that.
So everybody, if you just came in, I'm speaking with the Mind, Body, Soul panel from the All Black National Convention, and you can see why we were so happy to speak with them. I will mention everybody's name. If you could, hit the thumbs up button. If you're watching and you enjoy this, hit the thumbs up button. Put a hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1 meaning Black First. Put our community at the top of your priority list. We don't all have to have the same opinion and perspective on everything. We don't have to agree on everything, but we want to hear from our experts as much as we hear from other people's experts. So if you agree with that, put a hashtag B1 in the chat. I have Dr. Charm Timms, author of the book, The Quarantine Kitchen. I have Dr. Latanya Watkins, who happens to be my sister, and she also runs a platform called The Wealthy Happy Soul, which you can find on Instagram. I have Dr. Alicia Watkins. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com, and her Instagram is coaching with Dr. Alicia. She's a licensed therapist and full professor of social work. And we have Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Wellness, who is a brother that you see regularly on the Black Boss channel. He's deeply committed to health. And he and I had a very honest conversation about our fathers who grew up, as Black men eating the same stuff Black men eat. And there's a real conversation that has to be had about the things that are harming our people. Right. And I know that there was a brother I just spoke to not too long ago, Dr. Rogers. Remember, Alicia, when we met Dr. Rogers from University of Utah, and he said that one hidden epidemic. I got to have Dr. Charles Rogers on. Charles, that's his first name. I got to have him on because he said that there's a hidden epidemic of Black men getting colon cancer. He said colon cancer is everywhere, and he connected. I said, what are the things you connect colon cancer to? He mentioned one thing. He mentioned, and I'm sure all of you have something you'd like to add to that. But I remember he mentioned soda.
Yeah.
And he said soda. I said, oh shit. I went home and I said, get all that soda out of this house. Get that witchcraft out of our house right now. But there's other stuff that is very common. And I encourage everybody to kind of look into these things, because a lot of times we just think, Dr. Charm, we just kind of feel like, well, that's just the way it is. Like in our family, everybody's going to get cancer. Everybody's going to have heart disease. Everybody's going to have diabetes at some point. You just see these things sprinkle in your family. We never ask where it came from, right? And it almost seems to me like it's time to have a real overhaul. Like the Black Core 3 we have in the Black Business School is that we should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black business. And it almost sounds to me like in the midst of educating our own children, we must come up with our own new paradigm for health in terms of how we view health, how we view food, growing our own food. Because, when you talk about something as vicious as unregulated capitalism, that will incentivize people to put anything in the food that makes it taste good, and then to lie about it. Like Brother Nathaniel said, it makes perfect sense that a company or researchers with billions of dollars on the line are gonna lie, especially when you talk about something like what's happening to Black people. Why would they mess up $1 billion project just to save some Black lives? We know Black lives don't matter in the United States unless they matter to us. So, Dr. Charm, what are some of your thoughts on that in terms of the ways? Tell us about the Quarantine Kitchen, your book, and how that might help us kind of start that process of just being generally healthier.
Yes, you can obtain Quarantine Kitchen at my website, www.drcharmbook.com. And the Quarantine Kitchen was actually written by 12 holistic health professionals. Most of us are Black female naturopathic doctors. I think we had one herbalist. And a lot of times, even at the convention, people were coming up to me like, I want to change my diet. I want to eat healthier, but I don't know how. Like, I don't know what to do. And because a lot of us were not taught how to cook well, some of us, grew up eating ham hogs, hog maws, pig feet, the chitlins, all the pig from the Rudy to the Tudor. So, a lot of us need to know how to eat. And so with Quarantine Kitchen, we have something in there for everyone. We have some plant-based recipes. I believe all my recipes are vegan. But we do have something for people who are still carnivorous, who are transitioning, or who are just still wanting to eat meat. So we have something in there for everyone. We got some sea moss recipes. And a lot of times, I was vegetarian for about 7 years. I'm not anymore. But the biggest thing that took a lot of time for me was learning how to cook. Sometimes I spend 2-3 hours, tracking down some of these vegetarian books and, laying stuff out and getting all this and getting all that. But the recipes in our book are about 30 minutes, anywhere, about 30 minutes, because people's attention spans are short. People have busy lives. They're running around. And so they need to have something that is going to be healthy, but also is going to be fairly simple. So I think really just giving us the educational tools to be able to succeed is really important. We have articles. It isn't just recipes. We have health articles in the book. So that's important too. Just getting a little knowledge. We're not trying to knock you upside the head. Many of us are not ready. So, we want to start you gradually. And then I have to agree with the minister there about the sugar. There was one book that I read that absolutely changed my life, and it was called The Sugar Blues. I don't know if any of you all have read this book, but it was written by William Duffy in the 1970s. And I picked this book up at like an old thrift store one day. And this guy actually wrote the biography that became Lady Sings the Blues that Diana Ross starred in. So he wrote this book about how detrimental sugar is. And that he had something I never forgot about, the research that shows that people in mental hospitals and the jails have what's called reactive hypoglycemia. So which means that basically their blood sugar is not balanced. And so that is linked to mental illness and criminality. Criminality, some would have conjecture that it is a form of mental illness. So really that sugar is highly addictive. It's hard to get off that crack. It actually binds to some of the same receptors in the brain and gives you some of that same feeling as someone who is addicted to crack cocaine. So I just wanted to say that on another note. So we fighting with principalities going on here, y'all. It's legal to put these addictive substances in the food. They don't have to list everything that's in the food because of patent law. Patent law says that, hey, I've got proprietary information, which means, hey, I'm a corporation. I've got, a secret, like McDonald's got the secret sauce that goes in the Big Mac. I don't got to tell everybody. So I can list some of the ingredients, but one of the ingredients may have, up to 100 chemicals in just one ingredient. But because I don't want anybody to steal my stuff, it's a trade secret, I don't have to tell everybody what's in it. So just about what's listed on the package may not necessarily be what's in the food. And also, you guys get into the habit of, when you're buying food, your processed food, you really want to stay away from it. If you are buying processed food, the more ingredients something has in it, the less healthy it is for you. Because if you got something that's got 100 ingredients, 50 ingredients on the box, if you buy some bread, it's got what? Flour, yeast, and water, maybe some eggs. So the least amount of ingredients is something the healthier it normally is.
Well, that's really helpful information. Thank you, Dr. Charm. And so the website is drcharmbook.com. So if you want to go take a look at the Quarantine Kitchen, feel free to go to drcharmbook.com. So so since we want to be solutions oriented, we want to help people have options out here. The way I see it is the same way you go to the doctor, same way you go to the therapist, same way you go to somebody that can help you get a better life. That self-improvement. There are so many experts I found, Dr. Latanya, in our community that are 100 times better than these people we see on TV. They are better than the people we saw at some of these universities. I think that Black people are just the best in the world at teaching you how to be Black. I really believe that. I think that we have just kind of uniqueness in our environment that requires thousands of hours of study. You got to study that space of what it means to be Black to really know the nuances of how to respond to certain things, because we ain't white. We ain't white, right? But it doesn't mean that, that everybody can't benefit from these ideas, and it doesn't mean that we can't learn from everybody, right? It should be all inclusive. But I really think that, when I look at what you do with the Wealthy Happy Soul, I see what you strive for in terms of inner peace. You're my sister, so I see you going to retreats, and I see you doing all the things necessary to make yourself healthy. So I'd like for you to tell me a little bit about Wealthy Happy Soul and what the purpose is, and how you think that people can benefit from a platform like that.
Yeah, so I originally started it it used to be the burnout coach. And so I originally started as a physician who coached other physicians around burnout. But then what I found was that a lot of people started coming to me. So there were physicians coming to me, there were lawyers coming to me, there were engineers coming to me. There was like artists and interior, like people from all walks of life coming to me just for this, what they were calling burnout, but what I ended up calling success exhaustion, like, which was different from burnout. It was kind of more like a lot of people are just on autopilot, running around, like, let me get this degree, let me do this. It's kind of like chasing worthiness in a way, let me do this next thing, from A to Z. And you never really question why you're doing it. You never really question, like, if you're truly fulfilled doing it, or are you pursuing your goals from some sort of outside expectation? My parents said that, I have to be a doctor, or, they'll be really disappointed if I'm not a doctor, or, well, I've just always been a doctor. I've never thought about anything else, even though, like, I'm not really happy, like I just feel this sense of exhaustion. I don't really know why. And so that kind of goes back to just kind of like just questioning everything about your environment, like why you're tired. And a lot of it is not even a physical exhaustion. It's a mental exhaustion. People are exhausted with this rat race of life. And so, so that became like, that became like my latest platform. And so I essentially work with people, utilizing, I'm a certified life coach. So utilizing, life coaching tools, some, energy work tools, that I've studied as well. And helping people just kind of navigate that space. And then next year, I hope to have something new and exciting. Dr. Alicia and I are putting our heads together to come up with something that will be extremely beneficial to our community. So,
all right. So that's the Wealthy Happy Soul. And so you can follow the Wealthy Happy Soul on Instagram, and also the website is drtangi.com. I didn't mention that. Doctor, is that right? Is that the right website?
Yes, drtangi.com. Yes.
All right. So I'll put that on the screen. Okay, so let's if you talk specifically about Black mental health, and I sit next to my wife every day, and we talk about the things that are affecting us psychologically, and also how it affects our relationships, right? We because we're related to the world in a certain way. It affects how we relate to ourselves, which then affects how we relate to things like our partners and stuff like that. I almost see a lot of traps, Dr. Alicia, on that we can fall into, where sometimes like I learned how to relate better to people when I realized that most of the time when people react to you, they're not really reacting to you. They're reacting to something that's inside of them that came from something else, and they may blame you because you're the closest person that they can attack. But really, it's because I'm pissed off because something's wrong with my job. I'm not happy with my childhood, and I haven't resolved that trauma. Whatever, right? And then we show up to to these relationships with other people, romantic and otherwise, and we're not quite ready. We don't even have an awareness of how all that works. And so, can you kind of speak to that in terms of what you confront? Let's just start with couples and relationships. I kind of think that if we don't learn how to get our relationships right, we can't have a healthy community if we can't learn to relate to each other properly. right? Like even basic friendships. Like I relate to everybody in this panel in a healthy way, I believe. When Nathaniel and I talk, it's a great conversation. You know, there's no craziness and nastiness. When I talk to my wife, you know, we have a good, healthy discussion, etc. Dr. Charm is awesome. My sister, I love her to death, right? And it's a lover to life. How about that? And but you know, but we can imagine things like that going left. So what would you say in terms of taking those steps toward forming healthy relationships with others, starting the relationships in our own home?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting you asked this particular question because that's what Dr. Tanji was talking about when, you know, we, because of various conversations I've been having with my sister over there about the type of trauma that people go through and how those experiences, earlier experiences, can have an impact on your current situation and how you react and interact with other people. And through those conversations with Dr. Tanji, we really want to do some things in the future to kind of deal with those issues of trauma. And yeah, you take it out on your partner. You take it, not only you take it out on the closest person to you, you take it out sometimes on the safest person to you, because, you know, like, I love you unconditionally, so you can put it on me. I can take it, you know, and then we can try to, like, maybe my response to you is going to be I'm going to respond to you in a way that's going to be more healing so that you can help to get through it. So I don't think just because you had trauma in your background means forget it, I'm not going to be in any relationship at all. I think that through your relationships, you can help to sort through those traumas, where just because you had this particular issue in your background, your current relationship can help you heal through that. And so that is what I focus on when I work with a lot of my clients. I say, what does this feeling remind you of? What is this? What's coming up for you? And tell a story about what's happened and say it in a way so that your partner can be really empathetic and open and accepting to you, and to say, you know what, I'm really sorry about what happened to you. I'm not like that. I'm going to respond to you in a way that's healthy. I think that's so important. And I love earlier, you talked about what it means to be Black. That is so great, Boyce, because we do need to define what it means to be Black. And I remember it's been a long time with my dad, and we would talk about, like, soul food, you know, some of the soul foods that aren't healthy for you. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not going to eat slavery food. He used to call it slavery food. He's like, we're not slaves. Why am I eating slavery food? We're going to eat healthy. So, you know, those are some of the things that I remember just growing up, some of the healthy messages that I received. And so anyway, I wanted to talk about that because I thought that was really important, that we as Black people can define how we're going to relate to each other right now in our current relationships. No matter what we experienced in the past, we can define how we're going to eat in our household, no matter what traditionally soul food or slavery food, you know, we grew up with. We can make the decision to cut the sugar out of our diet and to say, hey, we're not going to use that. We're going to eat healthy. We can make a decision to let's put our phones down and let's interact and let's connect with each other and not be on social media. We can put our mind to it and define what it means to be Black right now, and not let media and all these other avenues tell us who we are. We know who we are, and we have a compass. We know what's right and what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and what healthy means. Having a healthy environment in our households, what we eat, what we consume, what we take in, how we interact with each other, how we treat each other. If I treat you disrespectfully, I'm going to say I'm sorry. You know, and I think that just because you say you're sorry doesn't mean I'm a sorry person. It just means that I'm really regretful and I was less than ideal to you. And so I'm going to make it up for you. I want to make it up to you. And I want to be the best person I can be. And so I think that's why I love this panel. And I'm glad, you know what? I ended up moderating this panel at the convention because I think, Boyce, you were tired and you were like, get Dr. Alicia up there to moderate like 5 minutes before the panel. And I'm like, I'm going to dive right in, because I see myself, you know, interacting with you, Boyce, in a way where it's like supportive. Okay, you know, my baby's tired. don't do the panel. I'll do the panel. I'll do my very best. It may not be perfect, but it's going to be my best and put my best foot forward. And that's what we need to do. And that takes a lot of courage to step outside of our comfort zone and to do things that we've never done before. I've never moderated a panel like that before, but I'll do it again, or do anything that you want me to do, because it's important for us to support each other and support our dreams and all of the things that we want for ourselves and for our families, and to just be courageous and do it. I want to end with one thing. I know I saw this wonderful presentation by a hospice nurse who talked about she is with people as they're dying. And so she collected all of these answers from them about what are your regrets? What are things that you regret while people are on their deathbed? And so I'm gonna read one of them. The very first thing that people regret on their deathbed is, I wish I had the courage to live a life. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. That's the number one regret people have on their deathbed. And you got to take that with you. So every morning when I wake up, I think about that. Like, what am I doing? I got to be true to myself, no matter if it works or if it doesn't work. At least I know I can go forward. I was me. I was being me, and so I don't want to die with that sort of regret at all.
All right. No,
I gotta
no
go
regret.
because I have another appointment.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Alicia. We appreciate your time. Everybody say goodbye to Dr. Alicia.
Bye, Dr. Alicia.
Have a good night.
Everybody, this was fun. I miss you, Dr. Charm, Dr. Tangi. I see you. Minister Wellness. Good luck on your event in January. And Boyce, I'll see you later on tonight.
Okay, sweetie. See you soon.
All right, bye.
Right, so speaking of comfort zones, Minister Jordan, I guess that's what I'll say. Nathaniel, Nate, Minister of Wellness, you really push people out of their comfort zone, right? I want to show everybody, share a screen real quick, if I may, of my brother's Instagram page. And if you look down the Instagram page, you can see, that he doesn't hold back. I don't know exactly what this is, but it looks scary. And he just kind of shows, I think I saw an image of a big butt. And then I think I saw an image over here. Looks like I see a big minister. I won't say his name. I think I might know who he is. Which I wonder, I'm not sure what my brother would say about that, but I cannot disagree with your assessment when you talk about this kind of interesting, really absurd idea that you have morbidly obese individuals, clearly unhealthy people, that are telling you how to deal with a health crisis. There's nothing wrong with being, overweight and stuff like that. I've had to struggle with, a lot of us have. But I remember seeing images of the health ministers of different countries, and you saw they didn't look very healthy. And to me, that first line, the sign of, what you can show me in terms of the transformation is what you've done, right? And I know that you lost a lot of weight, right, brother? What, it was like over 100 pounds or 80 pounds or something like that? Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay. Yes, sir. I was at 260 pounds, 30% body fat, 45-inch waist when I was a police officer in 2010. And my blood pressure became very high at that time. My father, who, as your father, because that's important to mention too, is that one of the things that connects us is that both of our fathers are actually Black preachers who ate, with that standard preacher diet. So my father, of course, as you well aware of, he just, doing what Black preachers do. And he started having a string of strokes. And when my blood pressure became high, I knew that I would end up like him, and I didn't want to. And yes, sir, I lost 100 pounds. I went from 30% body fat to around 4 to 5%. And I also reversed full-blown heart disease. And I've never come close and that's been almost, we're talking about 10 years now. And I've never come close. My before and after pictures on my website, theministerofwellness.com, just click about me. and I've never come close to ever being that size again. But the blessing is that not only have you can see that I've never come close to getting back to that weight or health status anymore, but on my website, I have a very tiny example of the amount of Black people that I have been able to help to achieve the same results. And one of the most recent ones that's not on the website that I'm actually very honored and proud about. Yes, that's me. And one of the
he's just showing off, y'all. He's just showing off. Up here auditioning to be a Chippendale. Go on with your bad, brother. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And so one of the recent success stories that I'm proud of is a brother. He sent me a long email saying that he was on 11 different autoimmune disease medications. And autoimmune medications are some of the most, that shouldn't be called medicine, because medicine means to heal. And Big Pharma goal isn't to heal anybody. It's to simply slowly kill you while they profit from you. And so this brother was on 11 different autoimmune disease poisons, and he reversed all of them. He was able to get off all of those drugs within a week of eating to live. And he submitted a before and after picture and lost weight. I have to put him on the website. But these are some of the success stories that I've been blessed to get. And then also, I was honored to this past weekend. I was honored to have participated in the first ever pro-Black anti-mandate rally that was held in Washington, D.C. And then also it's very important that I mention to everybody listening that we are one of the very, very few Bible-based health ministries for our people that have the courage to actually provide exemption letters for our people. So the ministerofwellness.com, we do offer exemption letters for anybody who does not want to do the medical decision. And if you believe you're at risk of losing your job or travel or whatever, we are one of the very few, if not only, pro-Black Bible-based health ministry for our people that offers that service to our people unapologetically. Also,
that's a nice service. I'll be calling you about one of them letters. Man, I had to stay in my house. I'm like, you know what? Until I feel comfortable, I'm not moving forward. I might do it, might not do it. I don't know. I think it's okay to make either decision, but I have had to hold the ground with family and say, look, until I feel comfortable making a move, I might just sit here and think about it for the next 10 years. And I would say I've never been, I can't say I'm 100% anti, but I'm definitely distrustful. And I think that what you tap into is the fact that we have good reason to be distrustful. Why would you trust any of this? Why would you trust Big Pharma? They've been lying to you for 100 years. Why would you trust the government? They've been lying to you for 400 years. Why would you trust any of these people that ain't never shown up when you really needed them? You've been asking for help. Brother Rizza Islam made an interesting point where he I don't know if anybody saw that he's been jumping around. He's had to be a fugitive on social media, but I've been following the brother just because I just love him and I respect him. And it's what's his page? Is it the Intellectual Extremist? Is that right? It's with an X. With an X, I think it's Intellectual Extremist. Let me see if I find it. Here we go. Yeah, it's Intellectual Extremist with an X, and he put up a real interesting meme, and I want to share it with everybody. And this would be a good point, I think, to close out the discussion. But here's what he put up. Let me show it to y'all so y'all can kind of get this point. I thought this was a great point. It said, "Look, lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of clean water, but don't worry, billions of dollars of vaccines are on the way, have arrived." Right. So basically, he's making a very clear point that you got all these countries that been needing food, been needing shelter, been needing clean water, been needing all kinds of support. You ain't never got none of that. You can't feed a starving child, but you can give him a jab. Oh, please go ahead.
And I'm sorry. And Doc, one thing I do want to mention, just something as you think about personally, I want you to keep in mind that Dr. Fauci did in the New York Times podcast. He did definitively admit that people now who have received both doses, they're still getting it, they're dying from it, they're becoming hospitalized, And now his solution, of course, is that you definitely will need booster shots. So just keep that in mind, brother. If you go down, or anybody, if you go down that path, I just, want you to know it'll never stop. It won't stop. They'll have you on your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. You'll be going in there every week. And then in Israel, brother, unless you keep up with all of them, unless you stay obedient to the government and keep getting your medical decisions, you can't be a part of society. So it's very insidious, because remember, the promise was do it and you're free. You won't have to, no lockdowns, no match. Just do it. We can get back to normal. We'll leave you alone. Just do it. Well, now in France, they're threatening seniors that, no, if you don't get your 4th booster, you're not considered fully vaccinated. So I just want to, just more stuff for people to be aware of as they make their own decisions.
Well, I'll say this, man. I'm sure if I went up and talked to any heroin dealer and told him about all my problems, he could give me a shot that will make my problems go away. And then an hour later, when the shot wears off, he would say, well, all you need is a booster. You get your booster shot, you're going to be all right, right? So, yeah, I think I see where that's going. And so I don't want the first shot, because I know the first shot means I'm going to need all the other shots that come with it, the booster on top of the booster on top of the booster on top of the booster. So I'm not telling anybody what to do at all. I am not here to make you ashamed of whatever decision you have made. We support you, whatever choice you've made. But I think that we can all agree, and give me a yes in the chat if we can all agree that the information shared by the experts today is beneficial to you, that it's important for you to think about preventative health issues, right? Preventative things you can do to make sure your mental health is right. Preventative things you can do to deal with things like your spiritual health. Preventative things you can do in terms of eating right. Preventative things you can do in terms of maintaining a healthy immune system. And then, at that point, whatever choice you make with regard to jabs and all this other stuff, you're going to be better off because you are healthier. I don't care who you are. If you're not taking care of your body and your mind and your soul, ain't nothing Big Pharma can do to really save you or help you. All they can do is prolong the inevitable. And that's where we're coming from. That's why, again, Black people, I believe we just smarter. We are smarter. We are the canaries in the mine. Intelligent Black people run the world. Because in my view, we are the ones who say, let's take a step forward. And before we get to solving all the problems, let's prevent the problems so we don't have as many problems to solve. So if everybody can agree, put a yes in the chat. I'd like to say thank you very much to our guests. We have Dr. Charm Timms, drcharmbook.com. That's where you can find her book, The Quarantine Kitchen, drcharmbook.com. Dr. Latanya Watkins, her website is drtangy.com, and she is the author of The Healthy, Wealthy Soul. That's a great podcast. You should check it out. Sorry, no, I said it wrong. What is it again? Say it again, Tangy. Did I say it right? Wealthy, Happy Soul. Wealthy, Happy Soul. There we go. Wealthy, Happy Soul podcast. And the Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan, which is theministerofwellness.com. Follow him on Instagram. Follow everybody here on Instagram. We got to follow our people. We got to support our people. So I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm about to get on out of here. If you want to know about some of the stuff we have going on in the Black Business School, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. That's my website. Also, you can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like that at the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. And so we are out of here. So God bless you, everybody. Please have a wonderful day. We love you, and we'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.